So I promised you guys I was going to do a video in which I answered your Q&A questions. I got a lot of emails, thousands, and I want to thank my wife for helping me sift through those because there were a lot. You guys sent me some really fun ones, some really strange ones, and that was interesting reading. But with my wife's help, we shrunk those down into 20 to 30 questions, and I want to answer those for you because you guys helped me reach 500,000 subscribers, and this is just my second way of saying thank you. The first was the complete Blu-ray collection video, and I thank you guys so much for all the support you've given me over the years. Let's get going with question number 1. As an aspiring filmmaker, what encourages you to do genuine and original work, taking into account that recently the most successful movies are sequels or cash grabs, and that the most original and artistic films like Enemy and Babadook usually go under the radar of regular film viewers? As an aspiring novel writer myself, I oftenly ask the same question in my head, and I'd want to know your answer. Good question, because really it's important to recognize something. Originality is hard to come by. Whether you're a writer or a director or an actor, someone more than likely has done something that you're doing before already. Or whether you're just a YouTuber. Originality is hard to come by. What makes something original anymore is your spin on it, your style, your personal emphasis on your project. Whatever you bring to it, that's the unique part, because no two people are alike. The originality comes from being yourself and letting your style make your project unique. And that's the same for YouTubers, it's the same for writers, directors, actors. Whatever you can personally bring to something to make it more original than perhaps it already is. What inspired you to start a review channel? I've always loved movies. I've always loved talking about movies. I used to write movie reviews on like Yahoo Movies. I had my own website. It was called A Critic's Opinion. It's not on the internet anymore. And I've always loved talking about movies. I've always loved making movies, filmmaking, short filmmaking. So the next logical step was for me to combine the two. Filming myself talking about movies. I loved short filmmaking and I love movies, so why not combine the two and make a YouTube channel out of it? And it worked. What is it like being married? I guarantee the wife saved that one. Good. I like it. The thing is, I married someone who has just the right amounts of similarity and just the right amount of contrast. Because there are things that we can do together, and it's awesome. But then there are things that she likes more than me or does better more than me, and she fills in that gap. She's able to fill in that gap that I need. And that's the beauty of marriage. You find someone who is similar but also fills a void that you need filled. And my wife does that perfectly. There you go, honey. I'm sure you wanted me to answer that question. Which movies or books inspired your imagination as a child? Oh man, definitely Goosebumps books when I was a kid. Those were the books that actually inspired me to start writing. When I was in elementary school, I would write little short scary stories entirely because I just love Goosebumps so much. So the Goosebumps as a kid definitely inspired me quite a bit. As I got older, Stephen King. Are there movies you love that everyone, maybe including yourself, considers bad? And what kind of rating would you give such a movie? Oh yeah, I mean, guilty pleasures are big for me. I have a ton. The Wicker Man with Nicolas Cage, I hate that movie. It's terrible, but I also love it. It's amazing and funny. My biggest guilty pleasure movie of all time is Tomb Raider with Angelina Jolie. And I'm going to be reviewing that in hilariosity form soon. I have to at some point. Because hilariosities can be bad, but they're funny. Or just amazing movies that you love, but you recognize aren't that good. And Tomb Raider's a big one for me. Hey Chris, my question is this. What movie do you and your wife enjoy the most to watch together? If there is no specific movie, then what genre of movie do you and her most like to watch? Bond is a big thing for us. Our dance song at our wedding was Skyfall. Who would you rather interview, George Lucas or Steven Spielberg? Oh, Spielberg, 100%. For one, Spielberg inspired me more. And for two, he's a much better person to interview if you ever watch interviews of the two. Lucas is very kind of like quick answers. He doesn't ever seem very happy. Spielberg just seems like more of a warm person that you could talk to and learn more about. So definitely him. Plus, as I said, he inspired me more. If you were forced to watch a movie 5 times in a row, which would you choose, The Room or Dragon Ball Evolution? Well, The Room, because The Room is hilarious, and Dragon Ball Evolution is my least favorite movie of all time. Do you keep up with your dancing? And if so, can we see some more? Sometimes. Some people may not know I used to dance like Michael Jackson quite often in videos. And yeah, I can still do it. I just don't really keep it up, and that's funny. You want me to do it? Sorry. No, thanks. Not right now. How did you come up with the term get Stuckmannized, and what made you start using it in your videos? My whole thing on my videos is I don't ever want to appear like I'm a know-it-all or that I'm you know, like some big important person, because I'm not. I'm just a guy in Ohio who loves movies. But there is a slight contradiction there because my catchphrase is my name, and so it makes me feel narcissistic. The honest truth is, when I was on this old website called Blog TV, it was like a live stream website where you could do like a web show for people, and some of my viewers came in and they watched, and we were just talking about the fact that it would be cool if I had a catchphrase. And I just had the viewers come up with things. And one person said, how about get Stuckmanized? And I was like, that's funny. No, I'll never use that. And then all these people kept commenting, that's hilarious, laugh out loud, you know, laugh my ass off, that's awesome, I love it. And I was like, do you guys want me to say get Stuckmanized? And universally everyone on the show was like, yes, that's funny. And so I just started using it, and it stuck. So the fans actually chose it, not me. And that's the honest truth. What is the most satisfying boss fight you ever played in a video game? Oh, wow. I know the hardest one ever for me was Metal Gear Rising. I think his name is Armstrong, the final boss. That guy was insane. When I beat him, I actually felt like I had accomplished something in life. It was crazy. Satisfying boss fight? Man, maybe the end of the first Metal Gear Solid, just because it felt so thematically rich and rewarding, and it just affected me emotionally, which was rare for a game back then. I loved your Star Wars analysis Force Awakens video, but it did kind of remind me of Mr. Plinkett's review style. I was just curious if you were paying homage to him or if it was just an accident. I got a few comments about that. The thing is, Red Letter Media is my favorite YouTube channel ever. Like, I love them. I love their videos. And I've been doing analyzed reviews in that style for 4 years now, ever since 2012, when Prometheus came out. I've done ones for Enemy, Under the Skin, Only God Forgives, Drive, The Problem with Horror Movies Today, The Problem with Action Movies Today. I've done that style for 4 years. I didn't change anything about it for my Force Awakens analysis, but I did get comments saying, you know, this reminds me of Red Letter Media, or are you copying off of Red Letter Media? No, absolutely not. For one thing, I would never do that. I love their reviews. I would never want to plagiarize someone else's content. Also, I just don't see the comparison. The only comparison I can really see is that I'm doing a narrated review with Star Wars footage. I mean, Plinkett is like a character. He's a drunk man who enjoys sodomizing his cat while eating pizza rolls and locking women up in his basement. I mean, I don't really see the similarities. There's narration, and I talked about Star Wars, and so I can see why some might have thought that, but no, absolutely not. I would never copy off someone else. So yeah, no, absolutely not. I love Red Letter Media, and I have no intentions of ever copying off of anyone. Do you watch The Nostalgia Critic? If so, would you ever want to do a collaboration with him? Not only have I watched Nostalgia Critic, I've met him. We did a panel together at WizardCon in Chicago. We were on movie fights together. Super nice guy. We had dinner together, and yes, we are planning to do a collaboration at some point. It will happen eventually. We just have to get the timing right. You know, it's a distance thing, really. That's really all that it is. But yeah, he's a great guy, and I love his videos, so I'm excited to do that eventually. What has been the most challenging thing about making YouTube videos? Probably being scrutinized by the public, being in the public eye. I mean, I really am just a person sitting in my office talking about movies. And I know that for you watching, it's different. But for me, I just love movies. So I do get taken aback sometimes when I see people so angry at me for just, you know, being honest about how I feel about a movie. I would say that's probably the hardest part. You know, I might say, well, The Force Awakens was amazing, or, you know, Spectre was good. And it's just like, you're so dumb, Chris Stuckmann. And I'm like, why? It's just a movie. And so that's probably the hardest part for me, is just the whole idea of being honest about your opinion and then seeing others get genuinely angry about it. And I think that's disconcerting to me, is probably the word I would use. What would be a piece of advice to give for movie fans who want to start their YouTube channel for reviewing? Please be yourself. And I know that's a cliche, but it's true. Don't look at my videos and attempt to recreate them. Don't look at Jeremy Johns' videos or someone else, the Flick Pick, Schmoes, whoever. Don't look at someone that you feel is successful and try to emulate their path to success. Because, you know, it's impossible. you have to find your voice. You have to be yourself. And if finding your voice is hard, maybe you just need to write a lot. Or maybe you just need to film a lot to discover your voice. It's different for everyone. So my best advice would be try. Do or do not. There is no try. But what I mean is you have to put that first step. You have to step out and do something. You have to actually sit down and attempt to create something. What kind of equipment do you use for your videos? Camera, editing software, mic, etc. My camera right now is a Nikon D5100. For some skits, I use my Nikon D800 and a 50 millimeter Zeiss lens. The camera is sometimes I change out sometimes depending on like what I'm doing. If I want to get more depth for a skit, I might even use the iPhone. It's just like I use those three things in conjunction. My mic is a Tascam DR05 and I use Final Cut Pro when I edit. Now, you're probably going to try to get that mic and then get that camera, and if you want to create the same thing I have, you have to realize that there's a lot of other things I do as well, like color correction, and I do audio editing. For instance, for the next 20 seconds of this video, I am not going to apply a single color correction to it, and I'm not going to do any audio editing so you can hear what it sounds like before I do all of my post-production work. And here we go. This is what my video would look like if I did absolutely no editing to it whatsoever, did no audio editing, and this was the sound you got, and this was the presentation you got. So yes, it is not just the camera, it is not just the microphone, it is also the post-production editing that I've taught myself to do in regards to color correction and audio editing. And big thank you to Skipper Martin, a colorist who lives in California, who's taught me a lot about color grading. Super nice guy, super awesome guy. Hope you're watching. And yes, so let's get back to the nice presentation, please. Okay, there you go. So yeah, all of those things in conjunction with actually learning how to edit and create good video and good sound are very important. Have you ever considered re-reviewing any films to see if maybe you were too hard or too easy on them the first time, like a bit more analysis and whatnot? Absolutely. In fact, I'm going to do that very soon because I'm about to review The Amazing Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man 2 in my series of Spider-Man reviews that I'm doing. That'll be in the next few months. And yeah, I mean, I reviewed those technically back in the day, and I'm going to be re-reviewing them with updated thoughts because very rarely, but every once in a while, an opinion can alter a little bit over time. For me, you know, for other people it may be different, but for me, I usually have pretty much, that's how I feel, and I can pretty much gauge it. But for some reason, with those two Spider-Man movies, my opinion changed. And I'm excited to talk about that. Is it hard to not always follow the hype train? Are you sometimes afraid about the popular opinion on the movie you're reviewing? Let's say that there's a really shitty movie out and it becomes a joke or a meme. Does it affect your review in any way? Good question. Really good question, because that is something that can be on anyone's brain. You know, like I'm sure that for the first like 100 or so reviews of The Force Awakens that were all positive, that one guy who came out and said, I don't really like this movie, he knew he'd get hate for it. My review of Lady in the Water, for instance, overall I think it's an average movie, but a lot of people hate it. And I had to take all of that and just throw it away and focus on talking about the movie. And that's really important for me, is not listening to everyone else's opinion. Like when I reviewed Jurassic World, I was like, guys, it's fine. It's fine. A lot of people were like, oh my God, greatest Jurassic Park, blah, 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 it's so good. I just had to be like, it's fine. It's not great, but it's fine. And it's hard for me to sometimes to deal with all that noise and compress it, but I try my best. How do you define the term narrative in the context of a film, and how does it differ from something like plot or story? Wow, okay. For me personally, I think of narrative like a thread, like an actual physical string tied to the beginning of the movie and tied to the end of the movie. And if that string stays level, then they probably did a good job. But if the story is messy and certain elements of the movie feel out of place, then maybe that string gets tangled up along the way and it's no longer a nice straight line. To me, that's my best way of visualizing what a narrative actually is. Have you ever seen a movie that you really didn't like, but you can't disagree that it is a good movie? In my case, it's Hotel Rwanda. Really great question, because there are movies I've watched and I'm like, very good movie. Never want to watch it again. Never want to watch, didn't enjoy watching it. Very down, depressing, you know, a movie that just makes you feel like, oh God, like I don't ever want to think about that movie again. For me, that movie is A Clockwork Orange. I love Stanley Kubrick's movies, I really do, but I could never sit down and watch that movie again. It's a brilliantly directed movie, very well acted, very well shot, but my God, it is just disturbing. And I can't personally ever see myself watching it again. Do you regret saying that The Force Awakens was your favorite movie of the year when people sent you so much hate for that? No. Because I was honest about my opinion. I would regret if I lied, then I'd regret it. But I didn't. I told the truth. So why would I? No. What was the first movie you saw in theaters? My parents were really smart and didn't take me to a theater until I was 6. They were like, no, we're not going to take him to a theater when he's a baby and he can annoy everyone else. We're going to take him when he's ready, when he's mature. And I saw The Lion King, and I'm pretty sure that was my first movie in theaters because I can visually remember going and just being blown away. What is your favorite movie review you've ever made? I don't know about movie review, but video, my Toonami Retro Rewind. I love that video. I got to interview Christopher Sabat, the voice of Vegeta. He said my catchphrase as Vegeta. He did a whole speech as Vegeta. Steve Bloom was in the video, and I met him in real life too. Super awesome guy. For goodness sakes, yeah, that was big for me. And that made me feel really happy because it wasn't just a video that I was proud of in regards to how it was made, but it was a video that I loved making. And that was the most important part for me. So those are my answers to some of the questions you guys sent me. Thank you so much for doing that. I greatly appreciate the fact that you guys sent me so many questions, so many that I was blown away. I was just like, thousands. And I really appreciate it. You guys are so great. That is my ultimate thank you for allowing me to reach 500,000 subscribers and for always being there and watching my videos and supporting me. It's something that I really want you to know doesn't go unnoticed. I really appreciate that. So thank you so much, guys. If you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.